Hey Chris, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good to see you again. Glad you made it in. Who'd you bring here with you?
This is Brandon.
Hey, nice to meet you, Brandon.
Nice to meet you as
How are y'all
well.
related?
He's just a good friend.
Okay, nice. Well, we're glad that you came in today. And the good news is that I have your report right here, and I think we're going to be able to help you.
Excellent.
Cool. So, Brandon, I don't know how much you know about chiropractic. Have you ever been to a chiropractor before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay. Well, I'm sure Chris has told you a little bit about it, but
Tell me a little bit.
real briefly, let me show you what we do here, just so you get an idea of kind of the reason that I'm talking to him, and sort of, you can understand what's going on with Chris and how we can help him, okay?
Okay.
So this is what I told Chris last time, and he may have told you some of this, but you have a brain right here, okay? And it's not a very good brain that I can draw, but Chris has a good brain, so that's really good. That's what we want to fix his nervous system, so you have to have a good brain, and we're going to... Shoot, that's stupid. I just keep... Alright.
You have to have a good brain.
Alright, let's start again.
I'm not sure.
Oh, alright, let's go. Hey Chris, nice to see you.
How you doing?
Glad you made it in. Who do we have here?
This is Brandon, my friend.
Alright, nice to meet you, Brandon.
Nice to meet you as well.
Glad you made it in, Chris. Looked at your exam findings, and the good news is I think we'll be able to help you. And we'll go into that. I don't know how much you know about chiropractic, Brandon. Have you ever been to a chiropractor before?
This is my first time.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't know how much Chris has told you, but let me just sort of share with you what, sort of I do that could help Chris, so that you can sort of have that in the back of your mind as I'm talking with him, and maybe y'all can support each other, and we're gonna get Chris better. Okay.
Okay.
So sort of what I do is, you have a brain up here, right? And here's your spinal cord, okay? So basically your body and the brain just communicate to each other just all the time, and one feeds off of the other and informs the other, and your brain really likes to know where you are in space. So all of this information coming up from your body through your spinal cord goes into your brain, right? Your brain says, hey, I know where I am in space, I know what I want to do, I know the action that I want to take, and it gives a movement, it gives an action, whether that's a physical movement or a thought or whatever. So what happens is when we have subluxations, which is just a fancy word of immobilization in the spinal segment's not moving very well, we sort of make this sort of staticky, right? And so that the brain doesn't know exactly where the body is in space anymore, so its movement isn't really good either. So you're just sort of breaking this cycle and this loop. So my job is to really help Chris to reestablish that mind-body connection, so that we can reestablish this loop right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that kind of leads us into our exam findings, Chris. I know on your x-ray you had expressed some concerns that it looked like you may have some degeneration in your lower back, right?
Yeah.
And what we have right here is, so you can see this is a model just of the back and the spine, and you can see where the nerve comes out right here. Well, since you have some osteophytes, which is just basically like a bone spur, sort of encroaching here where the nerve comes out, you probably have a lot of inflammation, and this was sort of confirmed by our exam findings that you have a lot of pain when you do extension and twisting and things like that, because you're basically just aggravating this nerve whenever you move, and that interrupts the loop toward your brain. So that's kind of why you're getting some tingling in the back of the leg. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So what we're going to do for that, and sort of here's what your treatment is going to be. That's what's wrong, but here's what your treatment is going to be. What I do, and I told you that I do a lot of chiropractic adjustments, which is what reduces those subluxations. The thing is that when you guys, when you have a research has shown that when you have a spinal segment that is actually immobilized, within about a day you start to get degenerative changes. And we sort of found that on your motion palp. Remember when I was motioning your spine just to feel where there was any restrictions? We found that you have those restrictions in the lower back. So did restrictions cause the degeneration or what? There's really no way to tell at this point. But it is worth noting that, and it is the importance of chiropractic care, that if we can get motion back in those segments, especially early, a lot of times we can prevent the degeneration from ever occurring, right?
Correct.
I wanted to give you this real quick. This has a lot of the research and a lot of the things that you can look at to sort of back up what we're going to be doing today, with our treatments and everything, right?
Thank you.
So, be transparent with you, it's going to cost about $35 a visit. We take cash, so it's just a little out of pocket expense, but I think it's going to really help you, and I think you're going to start feeling a lot better. We're going to do, I would like to do about 3 times a week for about 2 weeks, just to see if you start feeling better, and then we can take it from there. I find that really getting some motion in every day, and not letting those segments, start to not move again really helps, and it really relieves a lot of patients' pain. So, what do you think about that? Is that all right?
Sounds fine with me.
Okay, cool. So, and that brings up another good point with continued care is that, maybe after the first couple of visits, we have patients who come in and after the first visit they start to feel better. And it's important not to cancel your future appointments because, pain is the first thing to go, right? It's usually the last thing to show up and it's usually the first thing to go. So that doesn't mean that everything is super fixed in your spine, it just means that you're out of pain, which is our goal, but we want to extend that long term. So I'd really like you to come in and, stick with your commitment for at least the first 2 weeks, and then we can see where we go from there.
That makes sense.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Do you have any questions for me?
I think I'm good. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Well, it's good to see you, and we'll get started today, Brandon. Glad you made it in.
Thank you,
All right,
Tim.
so let's get started.